Hello, everybody. This is Paul Hoyt, CEO of Ascending Harvest, along with my best buddy, business partner, and resident genius, Shane McKenna, bringing you our daily update on the project for Ascending Harvest, which, of course, we are exceptionally excited about. We've been at this, we've been working together now for about 18 months and been on this particular flavor of the project for 9 months now, and making some amazing progress. So with that, Shane, say hello to the crowd today.
Hello, everybody. Glad to have you on board, and we hope that you enjoy these Zoomcasts and that you get some information out of it, and we will do our best to provide such.
Yeah, we do. And speaking of Zoomcasts, we've done a few of them. This is actually Zoomcast number 15 or so. I'm going to share my screen with you just a second. And I just want to bring your attention to our blog posting on ascendingharvest.com. So when you go to ascendingharvest.com/blog, the first thing you're going to see is an index of the previous Zoomcasts. Not all of them, but the ones that really talk to the project itself, the what and the why of the project, why human-powered hydroponics is so desperately needed, some thoughts about intelligent grow media. You know, Shane talks wonderfully about efficiency and the magic of plants and the magic of photosynthesis, etc. So when you have a few minutes, instead of watching that TV show or something, just tune into one of these for 20 or 25 minutes, and you're going to learn a lot about Ascending Harvest. You're going to get to know Shane and I a little bit better, and you're going to get to, I think, really be inspired to be part of our winning team, the Ascending Harvest team. So please do that. Please go to ascendingharvest.com/blog and take a look at some of those previous Zoomcasts we've done. This is number 15. Not all of them have been particularly about Ascending Harvest. Every once in a while, Shane lets me give a little inspirational talk or talk about something, about business, which I dearly love. So, I mean, this is really about kind of a 90-10 thing, 90% Shane and 10% me, which I dearly love because although I love the spotlight, I love even more sharing the brilliance and the heart of Shane with the world. And that's what we're going to do today.
Well, thank you so much, Paul. I think you might be exaggerating just a tad bit, but it's been a lot of fun to share my knowledge around how plants function and how our system functions. It's been a lot of fun.
Yeah, it has been. I'm going to go back and listen to some of those because I learn something every time that I have one of these conversations with Shane, as I know that you do too. So today we are going to talk about the patenting process. As it turns out that there are a lot of different ways in the United States and around the world of protecting your intellectual property. It's one of the ways that we build value and we build wealth in companies. It's said, for example, the intellectual property of Coca-Cola, the trade secret they have, the brand that they have, 95% of the value in that company isn't in the physical facilities or the inventory they have or the buildings that they own. 95% of the value in that company is in their intellectual property. And we believe that significant amount of the value of our companies will be in the intellectual property that Shane has invented, created over time. The way that you secure that value is through the patenting process, because we essentially declare to the world that, hey, this is our invention, and we own it, and we share it in such a way that allows us to have rights to that invention for a significant period of time. And there I told you practically everything I know about the patenting process, because I've actually never been an author of a patent. I've just watched, dozens of clients go through that patenting process, so I'm a little bit familiar with it. But nothing like Shane, because Shane, you've been through it a few times, as I recall, that you have several patents to your name, and you can talk to us in detail about the steps necessary to get a patent. So tell us, my friend, what do we need to do? Let's say I got a great invention and I think it might be patentable and I think I might have value in it. What do I do?
Well, first of all, I'd like to just address some of the things about patents and why they're important. So, in the process of developing a product, it's a very lengthy, drawn-out process. And if we didn't have a way to protect that, then all that time in the development of new ideas and new products and new technologies would be lost from the inventor, because then everybody could say, oh, that's a great idea, let's just do that. And so the inventor wouldn't get to benefit, and without that protection of the self-interest of the individual, few companies and few individuals would take the time to actually do something new without being able to get some kind of reward out of the work that they've done. So being able to protect your work that you've already done in the process of getting to a product is, or a piece of artwork, or your recipe, or your trade secret, not necessarily trade secret, that you don't seek protection, outside protection from that, you seek internal protection from that.
Yep.
But your trademarks, your copyrights, and your patents are ways that you can disclose your invention to the world, and like you said, Paul, say, hey, this belongs to me, it's my idea, and for a period of time I want to protect that idea so that I can generate the income that I've already invested, and then above and beyond that if I take it to market in an efficient and effective way.
Awesome. So Shane, you've been through this process a few times. How many patents have you generated, or have you started, or tell the folks about your experience in working with patents.
Oh gosh, I have IP in so many areas. So I'm one of the lucky people that I'm an artist, so I have copyrights on some of my art. But I have intellectual property involved in manufacturing, in transportation, in medical devices, in energy, in agricultural, of course. I've even delved into areas of photography and algorithms. So how computer software systems and hardware systems integrate with each other. We filed patents for that kind of technology that's still in process. So far this year, myself and my clients have filed patents for 9 different technologies that I've invented. So this year has been a really great year for getting a lot of things that I've invented both this year and in the past formalized into patent filings so that those can be protected. So I have a history of inventing a lot of things, a lot of new technologies. That's kind of my claim to fame in the engineering world, is clients reach out to me because I seem to have that capability of thinking about things in a different way and bringing new and more efficient approaches to different process and product design and just the way we do things. So I've been very fortunate that I've been blessed with a mind and the inspiration to be able to do those things.
So 9 patents this year, that's like 1 a month. And I know like even later on this afternoon, you're going to go talk to an intellectual property attorney about filing another patent related to ascending harvests. So I'm excited, just keep them coming, my friend. So when you have one of these ideas, what's the first step that you do when it comes to the patenting process?
So the first step that I do, and the first step that anybody with an idea can do, and it doesn't cost you any money, it costs you some of your time, is start to research that idea. What you want to see is, has it already been done? Is there anything like it? Because you may have just reinvented the wheel, and you don't want to put a lot of energy into that path if somebody's already done it or done something so close to it that they already have the protection, and you would be infringing upon their intellectual property by pursuing that idea. So the very first step is to do some of your own research. The next step is a higher level of the same thing. We do a patent search. And there's lots of firms that do patent searches, especially coming out of India. There's companies that specialize in looking for they call it prior art. And what that means is, has the idea been described in the past? And if it's been described, has it been described the way that you're describing it? Are you bringing something substantially different to the world with your idea or your process? And if yours passes the test of being substantially different, then you have an opportunity to seek a patent. So once you have your patent search, once that comes back, the results of that search, depending on how deeply you search, and you can also search within the U.S. Patent Office itself. You can have the U.S. Patent Office search your idea. It's the most expensive path, but it's also the safest path, because they have the complete records of all the patents filed, and they have people on their staff that specialize in that search. So there's multiple ways to do that search, and once you have that search, you can be reasonably assured of how distinctive your idea is, and that's the most important point. Is your idea distinctive? Because the wheel was invented thousands of years ago, but companies are patenting new ways to create new wheels with advanced technology and new ideas of how they manufacture those wheels and new materials that those wheels are made out of. So just because the wheel was invented thousands of years ago doesn't mean there's not a way to make a better wheel, or a wheel that serves a special purpose. And therefore, maybe you invented a new wheel. Don't get discouraged by the fact that the wheel has already been invented. Try to establish and identify what your distinctive characteristics are, what you're bringing new to that process, and if it's distinctive enough, then you could potentially receive intellectual property protection through a patent.
That's very cool. So those first steps are, kind of do your own research, and there's a lot of information available online. I think Google has all live patents at patent.google.com or something like that. So you can do your own research, but I think I heard you say, and what I would suggest to people is, you just can't rely on your own research. You really do need a patent attorney or patent agent or some firm that specializes in patent searches to take that next step. And it costs money. I'm not sure how much it costs, $1,000, $2,000, something like that, to do a professional patent search by somebody who really knows what they're doing. But far better to spend that money and find out that you might have a problem than to go spend $30,000, $50,000, $100,000 developing an idea that is infringing on somebody else's patent.
You're right. And a patent search, currently a patent search will cost you anywhere between $300 if you use the folks in India, or $1,000 if you use the patent office.
Yeah.
So that's kind of the range that you'll pay for a patent search, is between $300 and $1,000. And if you're working through an attorney, they may have an additional fee there that they charge you that could bump that up a little bit. But you should be able to do that for $1,000 or less.
Now, you mentioned something earlier about a different way of doing something or having different materials, and it reminded me that there are different types of patents. I think there's process patents, utility patents, and design patents. And am I getting that right? Are there other types of patents as well?
There's design and there's utility, and those are the only two that I've dealt with. So those are the only two that I can speak to. I'm not sure if there's a process patent that's different than a design or a utility patent. But in speaking about a utility patent and a design patent. A design patent is you have a specific design for a handle on a coffee cup. And nobody else has designed a handle that looks like that. The utility of your device is it's a handle. That's not patentable. However, the design of that handle could be patentable. And I just want to go back. The utility of that handle could be patentable if the utilization of that handle on that cup allowed you to do something different than what handles are currently used for. But let's say that you just had a handle and that handle had a unique cosmetic design and you didn't want anybody else to use that unique cosmetic design. And so you would get a design patent. Now, design patents aren't very valuable because somebody can just slightly tweak the cosmetics of your design and they can do something very similar and still not infringe on your patent. They can't do exactly what you've done, so you do have the protection of your exact design, and if your exact design has intrinsic value, then you would want a design patent. However, they're not as valuable and they're not as powerful because they can be slightly changed and not infringe on your design in any way. A utility patent, however, is describing claims to the utility or the usability or the function of a new invention, and that utility patent protects you in the way that you're achieving that function. So one of the patents that I have is around a Venturi. The Venturi has been around for over 100 years.
What is a Venturi?
A Venturi is a system that changes the flow speed of a liquid or a gas, and that changes the pressure in a region of that flow and allows you to do things with that change in pressure. There's a lot of different things that Venturis are utilized for. Venturi that a lot of people might be familiar with is the old carburetor on engines. So if you've got a lawnmower that's got a carburetor on it, or you've got an older engine that's got a carburetor on it, that carburetor is a Venturi, and that's how it sucks the gas into the carburetor to mix it. Is it uses that flow speed principle to create a vacuum that pulls the gas into the carburetor. So I've got a patent that we filed for around Venturis a few years ago that we fully anticipate that patent will be awarded because we figured out a different way to make a Venturi move in order to turn on and off that mixing function. So the Venturi's not new, but we figured out a new way to utilize a Venturi. So we figured out a way that we can utilize a Venturi as not just a mixing element, but also to double as a valve. So it's both a Venturi and a valve. And so that was new when we did our patent research and all our patent searches, and nobody had made a Venturi function as both a Venturi and a valve in the way that we were doing it. So we will most likely receive that patent protection for that invention.
Wow, that's really good. So once we've done the patent search and we are comfortable that, hey, we've got a unique idea here or a unique way of doing something or a unique design, what's the next step after that?
There's multiple directions that you can go. So there's a provisional patent, and the provisional patent is especially useful for inventors or companies that are inventing a new process or product and they haven't quite settled on all of the details. And so they will file a provisional patent which essentially creates a placeholder in time and says, we hereby declare this invention on this date, and we're claiming that our invention does XYZ. And then during that provisional patent process, you have an entire year to further develop your product and add or take away from that provisional filing. And that provisional filing protects you as long as the core claim that you're making, that you're still moving towards that core claim, that you're still creating something that functions within that core claim. So that gives you a year to continue to develop your technology, to build prototypes and things, but it also allows you to get that patent date in as early as possible. So when you're developing a product, when you're like, wow, we almost got it. Let's get our patent protection in place. Let's file the provisional and give us that extra year to play with our technology and refine it a little bit more and validate our theories and things like that. And then you can move into the actual patent. Now, you can file the actual patent from day one if you're very settled upon what you're creating and what that's going to do, and you know exactly how you're going to achieve those claims. You can just go ahead and file for the patent day one. A lot of people choose to have that year of the provisional, and a lot of people choose to file the patent immediately. That question is a really good question to work with your patent attorney on, and I highly recommend that you do have a patent attorney. I suggest that you do, so that your patent is written in a way that the language and the process and everything is written in such a way that if you ever have to defend that patent, it's very strongly written in a way that it's defensible. And the average person just doesn't have the legalese to understand what they don't know, and can get themselves in trouble if they don't have an attorney at least looking over their shoulder and making sure that that legalese language is not only correct, but also that it makes your intellectual property defendable, because if you can't defend it, it's not really worth anything.
Yeah. So we've either filed a provisional patent or we've gone ahead and filed the real patent. How long does it take to actually file a provisional patent and to file a real patent? Is that something that's a matter of hours, or is it something that's a matter of weeks or months to prepare?
It really depends on the complexity of your invention. So most of the patent attorneys that I've worked with have been able to file a provisional or a patent within a month. There have been some patents that are so complex, and the number of process or the ways that we're identifying that it could be done, so we're including those ways of accomplishing the task into our patents so that we have broader protection. Those patents could be very complicated and require a lot more language, a lot more identification, a lot more drawings. There's a lot of steps and process within the patent process that are time consuming, and it's very rare to have a patent that's not 25 pages long, and it's not unusual to have patents that are 40, 50, 60 pages long either.
Wow. So my guess is that the price of then filing that patent depends upon the complexity of the patent, the number of claims that you're making, how long it takes the attorney and you to work out all the details, etc. And that price could range from what to what?
So if you're working with an attorney, filing a provisional will probably run you $4,000 or $5,000. And then at the end of that year, you have to file the actual patent. So you move from a provisional to the patent filing. And that costs a little bit more money because there's some fees and there's some additional preparation to move it from a provisional into a patent. And plus you need to finalize anything that you've developed during that year. You do a final review and there's strategy involved. What am I going to protect? The patent office won't let you claim too many things, so you may have to narrow down your focus, and your goal is to get your patent through the patent office and approved while protecting your claims in your invention. So you have that multiple goals. And so the long answer to your short question about how much, it all depends on what you're doing, but you could conceivably get a patent for maybe as low as $5,000 or $6,000, and I've worked on patents that have been well in excess of $25,000.
Yeah, I would think it would be could be even more than that. I know I heard you say once that in some cases, because of the number of claims and the complexity of the patent, that you may actually want to break something up, an invention, into multiple patents. And, one patent this part and this part and this part, even though they all go together in your particular invention.
That's absolutely correct. In fact, the patent that we're starting the process of filing today is going to file as a single patent because all of the components are in a single system. But we already know right now that is going to break into at least 2 patents when we move from a provisional to the patent filing. But right now we're staking our claim. We're putting our placeholder and our timestamp in place by filing the provisional. And then that gives us a year to raise money, to do business, to get some income flow that will allow us to better incur the cost of breaking that into 2 separate patents a year down the road.
Awesome. So now that we've filed our patent, we filed all these claims, we've decided whether it's 1 patent or 2 or 3 patents, then what happens? How long does it take us to actually get the patent awarded or rejected in some way?
Well, there's a couple of interesting things that happen along that step. First of all, your filing date is the all-important date now. The patent law has migrated towards first to file. Whoever is the first to file on an idea is who gets the protection in the landscape of today. And one of the other things to consider, I lost my train of thought here. It'll come to me. So it takes quite a long time to get your patent approved. I've worked on patents that they were approved in about 3 years, and then last year I was awarded a patent that the provisional on that patent had been filed almost 5 years prior.
Wow.
So it can take 3 to 5 years in the current landscape of the patent approval process to actually receive your patent. And now I remember what I was going to say. So you filed your patent. Your patent is not published for 18 months after the original filing. So it's like a race that you start, and you put your timestamp in place, but you won't know for sure for 18 months if somebody else has the same idea and is pursuing it. So
wow.
The earlier you can get that timestamp, the better, because you could be working on your technology for 1.5 years, and then all of a sudden coming out of this unreported tunnel, so to speak, that they started 1.5 years ago, all of a sudden their patent becomes published. It hasn't been approved yet, but it's published, and now you're like, oh, hey, that's what we're working on. And they filed 6 months before you. So that's why a lot of companies will go ahead and file that provisional, even though they're not done with all of their research and their prototyping and their testing, because they want to get that timestamp, because they know there's a chance that other people might be working on the same idea, and they could spend a lot of money in the next year only to discover, oh, here pops out of the tunnel an idea that was started 6 months before they did.
So is there any way to fast track that patent process at all? Can you pay more money or say, hey, I'm an old geezer, can you speed this up?
That is the one exception. If the inventor is over a certain age, and I think it's 65, but it could be 70 years old, they will fast track your patent because of your age and allow you to get the patent process through in about a year. To my knowledge, there's no other way to fast track a patent.
Well, I'm going to have to start coming to your laboratory and working on your inventions then so we can fast track some of our patent ideas.
Yeah, unfortunately, you have to be the primary inventor.
Oh, damn it. Well, I'll just have to keep scratching my head there. Oh, well. So now that we've talked about the whole patenting process in the United States, what about international patents? What about India, China, Japan, Canada, Mexico? What about all these other countries? Are we protected in any way from inventors or people who would plagiarize our invention in those countries?
You can be, yes. So you can file for international patents beyond the U.S. patents. And the first thing is by having a U.S. patent, you already have reciprocal patent agreements with Canada. So you don't have to file a separate patent in Canada. Your patent's already good in North America and Canada. But if there's other areas of the world that you want to market your invention, and you want to have exclusivity in those countries, then you need to file an international patent. And there's actually regions of countries that cooperate, just like the U.S. and Canada have reciprocal agreements. Different areas of the world have reciprocal agreements. So you're not filing in each individual country. You're filing in pockets of nations.
Oh,
and
good.
So you would, if you wanted to protect your invention in Europe, you can protect it in different regions of Europe. If you want to protect your invention in South America, if you want to protect your invention in Asia, if you want to protect your invention in the Russian bloc of countries, then there's different pockets that you can file for. Those are separate filings, and you also have to file a placeholder with the U.S. Patent Office because they are going to declare to these other areas of the world that this patent has been filed in the United States and they desire to file international patents. So don't proceed on any international patents on this particular technology until either their date is up to file for the international patents or their patent has expired.
Wow. Phew. Well, that's a lot of information. We talked about, doing your own searches. We talked about getting patent searches done in provisional patents, regular different patents, utility patents and design patents, and talked about international patents. It really brings home to me how important it is for you to work with a patent attorney, a patent agent, somebody who specializes in that process, especially if you're going to go internationally, because it is very complex. And the like I said, a significant amount of the value of your company can rest on whether or not those patents are awarded to your company.
Yes, and I would like to bring another point home. Do your research and find a great patent attorney.
Yep.
Your intellectual property is going to be one of the most valuable components of your company. As the most valuable component in your company, you really need to make sure that's protected well. And I've worked with a lot of different patent attorneys. Some of them are fantastic, and I've worked with a few that have created a lot of problems down the road because they just didn't have the depth of experience to make sure that a lot of things were thought of and covered and protected in the right way. And so get yourself a really great patent attorney. And if you're friends with myself or Ascending Harvest, reach out to me, because I will recommend to you, or I will suggest to you, the patent attorney that I use, who I feel is the absolute cream of the crop in the patent protection world.
That's awesome. That's a generous offer. So if you're listening to this, and you want to get some patent stuff done, please reach out to us. We'll be happy to help you and refer you to the people that we use whenever we're working on our passions at Ascending Harvest. And Shane has used for years with all of his multiple patents, 9 this year alone and a 10th one coming today. That's just awesome. I love that. I'm really excited to see what's going to come out of that fertile mind of yours in the years to come. I hope you've enjoyed listening about this patent process. I really want you to understand the depth of the experience and the talent that we've got on the Ascending Harvest team, in the body of Shane McKenna there, my buddy, business partner, and resident genius, because it is substantial already, and I know it's going to be really substantial in the years to come. Any last things you want to talk about before we do our prize drawing for the day?
Well, I'm just so excited that we're moving into some of the final stages of protecting our technology for this humanitarian effort with the technology. This is really super important to get this protection in place. We actually haven't been able to talk about the technology a lot because we've been waiting to file this provisional patent, and that's largely been a function of money. And when I talked early on about protecting your idea so that you can profit from it, I don't know how much Paul has got invested in this company already, but I know that I have well over $500,000 in engineering time and some $50,000 in raw costs of materials and prototypes and shop and computer technology and patents and all of the different things that I actually have to spend out of pocket for to make this work. So we have invested a lot of time and money and value into this. And so I hope that if you're working on a project, you can see the value of protecting it like we're protecting our value, and that you seek out the proper help to have that protection so that you can benefit and benefit well from your ideas.
Wow. Well said. Let's give one of these things away. Every day on our Zoomcast, we give away a human-powered hydroponic system. I download, everybody who goes to ascendingharvest.com and signs up for our email list is automatically entered into our prize drawing every day. And when you do that, and I strongly encourage you to do that if you haven't already, you will be entered into the prize drawing and eligible to get your very own human-powered hydroponic system. I've downloaded those prior to our Zoomcast today, assigned every one of the people who signed up a number in between 1 and 10,000. Shane's going to give me a random number between 1 and 10,000, and I'm going to plug it in. What is that number, Shane?
Can we see it here? It's 1310. Let's see if I can get it to show up. There we go, 1310.
1310, fairly low number, and the person who is closest to that is a good friend of mine, Michael Charters. Michael Charters, if you're listening today, you have won a human-powered hydroponic system. We will send one to you when we get out of manufacturing, now expected in Q1 2019, or you can send one to a family in need in some developing company or refugee camp in your name. So Michael Charters, congratulations. You won your own human-powered hydroponic system. And if you'd like to be eligible to win your own system or some other valuable prize as we build the brand awareness in preparation for our crowdfunding campaign, please go to ascendingharvest.com and enter your name into the little place there so we can capture your name and email address and we can enter you into these drawings. Speaking of crowdfunding, our crowdfunding campaign launches on September 19th. That is 2 weeks from today. No, 2 weeks from tomorrow. Excuse me.
2 weeks from tomorrow.
2 weeks. So we are very, very excited about the crowdfunding campaign. Stay tuned. You're going to get a lot of posts on our Ascending Harvest page in Facebook and our LinkedIn presence and through our emails in the coming days announcing more and more about this crowdfunding campaign. So please think about giving a buck or two yourself, but most importantly, we want you to share information about our project with your network. There are dozens or hundreds or even thousands of people that you know who will never hear about this project to feed the world and to give families in developing countries and refugee camps the opportunity to be empowered by growing their own food if you don't share it with them. So please think about sharing it. If you've ever shared anything in your life, give other people an opportunity to participate in this project and give us the opportunity to get this project in front of as many eyeballs as we possibly can by sharing it when we go live on September 19th. So go to ascendingharvest.com and sign up for the email list. Go to ascendingharvest.com/blog and take a listen at some of the other Zoomcasts that Shane and I have done. There's 14 others there, and they've lots and lots of wonderful information on the company, on the challenge, on the problem, and how we're solving this and how we're helping people around the world. And tune in tomorrow for another Zoomcast, which we look forward to doing as well. Shane, any last words before we bring it to a home today?
Just want to say thank you to everyone who has tuned in, and we are so excited. We look forward to working with you to help us bring this technology to the world.
Thanks to everyone. We'll see you tomorrow. Bye-bye.
Bye.